Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Treasure's Craft. My name is Treasure Peter. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back, and if today is your first time of coming across my channel, you are highly welcome. Today I'll be making this beautiful top that you can see on the screen. This was the inspiration and this is my recreation. Stick around and watch to the end if it's something you're interested in. Thank you. Welcome back once again, guys. So to make this top, I'll be making use of this Ankara fabric. I made use of 2 yards, even though I didn't finish the entire 2 yards. And in order not to waste time, I'll be cutting it directly on my fabric instead of drafting it on a pattern paper first. Let's go straight into the cutting. First thing I did was to place my fabric into 2 like this, and I proceeded to mark out the starting line. So in placing the fabric, in folding it into 2 to place, see how big I placed it, because I want it to enter everything when I'm cutting. I didn't make it so small so that there will be no shortage. From the starting line, which is the shoulder line, I proceeded to measure from the shoulder to the bust point, which was at 10 inches, and I marked it and drew the line across like this. Next, I measured from the shoulder to the under bust point, which was at 13.5 inches. I also marked it and drew the line across. Then I measured from the shoulder to the top length. So this is going to be the normal length of the top before the Basque effect. I made use of 19 inches to be the length of the top. I'm still going to extend it for the Basque effect. So I proceeded to draw out the line. And then for the Basque effect, I extended it with 7 inches. You can use 6 inches or 7 or even 5 inches, whatever you feel is okay for you. So I proceeded to draw it out again to just draw it across. Note that we've taken our horizontal measurement, the shoulder line, the bust point, the under bust, and the length of the top, and then the Basque effect. So guys, the next thing we're going to do is to take the vertical measurement. So the first thing I'll be taking is the shoulder measurement divided by 2. So on the shoulder line, I marked the shoulder measurement divided by 2, and I came down at that shoulder line divided by 2 with 1 inch for the shoulder slant or shoulder slope. And then on that same shoulder line, I measured the neck measurement, taking the neck width of 3.5 inches and a neck depth of 3.5 inches also. And then I connected from the neck width to the neck depth to form the round neckline. And then I proceeded to slant the shoulder from the neck width to the shoulder point. Next thing we'll do is to form the chest line. So in order to form the chest line, just use your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5, and whatever you have, mark it from that shoulder slope and draw the line across to form the chest line. And then on that chest line, we're going to be taking our bust circumference divided by 4 as well as the shoulder measurements divided by 2. So I marked the shoulder measurements divided by 2 and connected it back to the shoulder slant like this in a straight line form. The next thing we'll do is to determine the midpoints between the shoulder slant and the chest line. So after determining it, I proceeded to mark it, and then I came in with 1/2 inch, and then on the chest line I measured the bust circumference divided by 4, and I connected to form the armhole from this shoulder slant to the midpoint and to the bust circumference divided by 4. The next vertical measurement we'll be taking is the nipple to nipple measurement. So I'm going to measure it on all these horizontal lines except the chest line. To do that, I'll divide the nipple to nipple by 2, and I'm going to add additional 1/2 inch because I'm cutting directly on the fabric. So I measured what I had on all the horizontal measurements except the chest line and the shoulder line, and then I connected the points to form a straight line. At the armhole, I measured 5 inches from the shoulder slant and I marked it, and then from there I'll connect it to the bust point to form the princess dart. The next thing I did was I came down with 1 inch along the line from that 5 inches, and then I connected it towards the bust point, but I came up with 1/2 inch before the bust point while connecting it. And then I extended it at this down part with 1.5 inch in a slant form. On the chest line, I also extended it with the 1.5 inch. This is so that it will correspond and there will be no shortage, so you have to also extend yours. And then I went ahead to form a new armhole curve at that point. So guys, we are done with the princess dart area at this upper part. We are going to be concentrating at this down part. So at this down part, I'm taking out 1.5 inch on this other side. I took it out on the back's length, on the original length, and on the underbust, and connected the 3 points together to form a straight line. For someone that has a bust from 33 inches to 39 inches, I use 1.5 inch. Then from bust 40 inches to 45 thereabout, I use 2 inches. And then from 46 inches and above, I use 2.5 inches. At this point, you are going to just connect it to the underbust point. In order to do that, I came down with about 1/2 inch before connecting it, or from the bust point, just come down with about 1/2 inch before connecting it with your armhole curve to form the bustier. So that is it about this side. And then for this inner part, I'm going to go in with 1/2 inch, go in with 1/2 inch from all the points and stop at the underbust point. So I'll just go ahead to connect the points to form a straight line, and then I'll also connect it in order to meet up with the bust point, just like I did to this other side. So guys, at this point, I'll be taking the other measurement. So I've already taken the bust measurement. I'm going to be extending it with the little allowance at this point for the joining, because we are going to join that point. So I added 1 inch allowance for joining. It's very necessary because I'm cutting directly on my fabric. And then I added 1.5 inch for sewing. So on this point, which is the length of the top, I'm going to be taking the waist measurement, because the length of the top is just 19 inches. So I took the waist measurement divided by 4. I marked what I had, and then I replaced the dart. The dart altogether will be about 2 inches. After replacing the dart, I added 1 inch allowance for joining. It's very necessary that you add it because we are cutting directly on the fabric. And then I added 1.5 inch allowance for sewing, and then I connected it to the bust measurement like so. So guys, even if you are going to cut out the Basque effect, at this down part, I'm going to divide the hip measurements by 4. So I'll just take the hip measurement divided by 4. I'll add this allowance of 2 inches, and then I added 1 inch joining allowance, and I also went ahead to add my sewing allowance of 1.5 inch and connected it towards this part like this. Although this is not really necessary because I'm still going to cut it out as the Basque effect. So the next thing I'll do is to add my joining allowance at the shoulder. So I added 1/2 inch allowance at the shoulder point like this. It's very necessary to add the joining allowance, and then I proceeded to cut out the blouse. So watch carefully how I'm cutting, especially if you're a beginner. So here is it guys. After cutting, the next thing I will do, in order to take out the Basque effect, I went ahead to place it as if I'm joining it already with 1/2 inch on top, and then from this part where the allowance started, I'm going to just do a V to connect the Basque together. Like I told you before, the hip measurements was not really necessary, except you wanted it to just be a normal blouse. So I proceeded to just connect it and cut it out. So this is it guys, the front part is ready. So now I'm going to be opening the holes that were around the neck part. If you check the style inspiration, you notice that there were holes around the neck part. So I got this paper to cut the circles for the holes. I just proceeded to fold it into 4 and cut it out to form the circle. So guys, I'll first place the circle here. I left about 1.5 inch at the up parts before starting to place it, and 1 inch towards the neck part. I went ahead to pin it up, and then I used my chalk to mark round. In order to achieve the second circle, I had to mark the center point first because I'm trying to get 4 circles, and then I brought it down to just mark the second circle. Note I didn't take it close to the neckline, I just made it to be 1 inch away from the neckline, and then I went ahead to just place it and pin it up, and then I used my chalk to mark round just like I did to the other one. In order to get the exact circle for the other side, I had to fold it into 2 like this, and I'll just use my scissors to cut around those parts, so I'll cut it at the same time with the other one. So I had to just notch it a little, and then from there use my scissors to cut it out. So you make sure to pin it down so that it will be in the exact position. So guys, here is it after cutting. I had to open it up to show you guys how it looks. So it's time to cut the back part of this blouse. For the back part, I also folded my material into 2. Make sure that you have your bust circumference divided by 4 plus additional 4 inches. This is because the bust circumference will be the widest measurement. First, I marked the zipper allowance at this edge with 1.5 inch, and I drew the line across like this from the up part to the down part. Then at the top part, I proceeded to draw out the starting line, which is also the shoulder line. The next thing I did was to measure the top length, which was 19 inches. The back is not going to be having the back, so I had to maintain the same 19 inches, and I made it 19.5 because of the allowance for the turning of the lining. The next thing I did was to measure the shoulder measurement divided by 2. From the zip allowance point, I measured what I had and I marked it. Then I came down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant. I took the neck width of 3.5 inches and a neck depth of 1.5 inch, and then I went ahead to curve the neckline. On the shoulder line, I went ahead to slant the shoulder from the shoulder slant to the neck width. From the shoulder slant, I measured the bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5, and I drew the line across to form the chest line, and on that chest line I measured the shoulder divided by 2 and connected it back to the shoulder slant. Also on the chest line, I measured the bust circumference divided by 4. I marked what I had and I added 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Then I used my free hand to curve the armhole. On the full length, I took the waist measurement divided by 4. I added 1 inch allowance for that, and I added 1.5 inch sewing allowance. At the zipper allowance point down, I came in with 1/2 inch and then connected it upwards towards the chest line in a slant form so as to eliminate zipper bulge. And then I had to return the 1/2 inch at the waistline before connecting it to the bust point. So that's all for the drafting of the back pattern. I'll just go ahead to cut it out. Before then, I added 1/2 inch allowance for joining at the shoulder, just like I did to the front. This is it guys, the back side is also ready. The next thing I'm cutting is the sleeves. For the sleeves, I folded my material into 2 and I took the width to be 18 inches on fold and the length is about 17 inches. So I'm trying to achieve 16 inches for the length at the end because I'm going to join the upper part and I'm also going to aim the down for the elastic. At the upper part, I measured 8 inches and I marked it. The reason why I'm taking 8 inches is because I'm going to gather that up part. From the 8 inches, I measured another 6 inches and I marked, and then I added the allowance for joining of 1 inch. From that up part, I came down with 5 inches before connecting it in a curved form to form the armhole. So this is just an easy way to make the sleeves so that you're going to gather the up part. So this part will be all gathers. So I went ahead to just connect it like that, and then from this side I had to take it in a slant form to meet up with the end. So that's all for the drafting of this puff sleeves. I proceeded to just cut it out and I'm going to place it to cut on another fabric to form the second sleeves. So guys, I had gone ahead to cut the linings of the camera, the linings for the front as well as the back. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to gum the front side with the hair stay. I'm going to just gum it off the camera. Here is it, guys, after gumming it. I went ahead to also cut the wardens, and I will just take it off the camera and also gum it. I made sure that the warden did not reach this whole part. Just make sure that you come down at least 1 inch before the whole part. I had to double the warden so it will be a bit thick at that part. I also cut the wardens for this other side. I didn't make it full. I've done a comprehensive tutorial on how to pad and join a princess dart bustier. I'm going to place the link on my description box below, so you go ahead and watch it if you're interested in watching it. So guys, here is it after gumming it with the iron. Next thing I'm going to do now is to join the princess dart area with 1/2 inch of the camera, and I'll show you guys what I have. I also go ahead to join the linings too. For the back part, I will go ahead to turn the neck and also turn the down part and this zipper part and the side of the camera. I'll just go ahead to do all my turnings and show you guys the end result. For the front side, I had gone ahead to turn the neck, so after joining it, this is it. I used my breast ball to make it to come out very well. I have done a detailed tutorial where I showed all this process. So I went ahead to turn the neck with the lining, and then this is the point where we are. I made sure that the joining of the lining shows inside and it's not going to show outside. So the next thing I'll do now is to turn the down part as well as the sides. I'll just turn it off the camera and iron it out before showing you the end result. Here is the back after turning it, and I went ahead to iron it. The next thing I'm going to do is to take in the dart, so I'll just go ahead to sew in the dart like this, and then I'll go ahead to fix the zip at once and show you guys what I have. For the sleeve, guys, I went ahead to fold it in at this edge, so I'll be fixing my elastic. For the length of the elastic, I made use of 13 inches. So here's the front side. After turning the down and the side, I went ahead to iron it very well. See how neat it's looking. The next thing we are going to do is to work on this whole part. As you can see, the holes are still here. It will not look neat if we leave it like this, so I'll be using a bias to turn the holes in order to cover the holes. This part is going to take time, so you have to take your time and be careful while doing it. There are two ways you can do it. You can just place it like this and go ahead to just turn it and sew it alongside while placing it. This is the method I'm going to be using, or you can as well sew it on one side and then turn it over to the front side. So you can sew it from the back side like this and then turn it over to place it on the right side. Here's the back side. I have taken in the darts already, so I'll just go ahead to fix the zip. Here are the sleeves after fixing the elastic. So guys, here is the front side after using the bias to cover the holes. As you can see, it's looking very neat and very beautiful. This is the back side, the lining side. It is well covered. So at this point, I'll go ahead to attach the shoulder of the front to the shoulder of the back. As you can see, the zip is well fixed for the back. I'll just go ahead to attach it this way. Make sure that you put the front in between the lining and the material of the back. So I'll just join it with 1/2 inch, and I'll do the same thing to this other side. So here is it, guys, after turning the shoulder. The next thing I'll do is to fix the sleeves. So I went ahead to fix the sleeves. Make sure to notch the center of the sleeves part so that you will know where it will align with the center of the shoulder. So just go ahead to run your gather stitch to just gather it and make sure that it aligns with the center of the shoulder, and gather it till where it is well gathered before you reach the end of the other end of the sleeves. I will go ahead to sew it off the camera. I'll do the same thing on the other parts of the sleeves. I'll show you guys what I have. This is it after joining it. As you can see, the gathers part is around the center part of the shoulder. So guys, our top is almost ready. I went ahead to just flip it over and close the sides with the measurement of my client. That will be all for the making of this top. If you've watched up to this point, thank you very much for watching up to the end. Please do well to like and comment and also share this video to those who will be interested in watching it. And don't forget to also subscribe to this channel if the video was of value to you. Here is the final look of the top on my client's body. Thank you so much once again for watching, and see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye.